I've been hauling freight across the country for almost 2 decades now. Long stretches of highway, lonely nights, and empty horizons stopped bothering me years ago. But there's one route, Highway 191, running through a remote part of Utah, that I've refused to take ever since what happened in 2019. People always assume truckers overreact or exaggerate, but I swear to God, I didn't imagine this. It was early February, icy cold, and I was hauling a load of medical equipment from Salt Lake City down toward Moab. Dispatch warned me about a light snowstorm coming in from the Rockies, but I figured I'd beat it. Anyone who's driven 191 knows there's pretty much nothing out there except mountains, desert, and an occasional abandoned gas station. Around 2 a.m., I realized I hadn't seen a single car, not one, for at least an hour. My CB was dead quiet too. The darkness felt heavier than usual, like the world outside my headlights just didn't exist. I remember turning the radio down because I thought I heard something unusual, like a faint metal clanking somewhere behind me. At first I assumed it was something loose in the trailer, maybe a chain swinging around, but the sound kept happening in a slow, deliberate rhythm. Clank, clank, clank. I actually pulled over on the shoulder to check. The cold air blasted me in the face when I stepped out. My breath puffed into the dark like little ghosts. I walked the length of the trailer with my flashlight, boots crunching on frozen gravel. Everything looked normal. I shrugged it off and got back inside. But 10 minutes later, the clanking started again, this time louder, faster, like something was hitting the inside of the trailer wall. That's when I noticed something else. My headlights flickered, once, twice, 3 times. Then they stabilized. I was creeped out, but I kept driving. I needed to make the delivery on time, and honestly, I had no desire to step back into that freezing darkness. About 20 minutes later, through the corner of my eye, I caught a flicker of movement in my right mirror, like someone sliding out of sight just as I looked. My stomach dropped. I slowed down and leaned closer to the glass. Nothing, just black highway and snow blowing in the wind. Then the silhouette appeared. For a split second, I saw it clearly. A tall, thin figure standing on the shoulder of the highway, facing my truck, arms hanging straight down, head tilted unnaturally to the side. No other cars, no houses, no lights, just that thing, standing alone in the dark. My heart hammered in my chest. The figure was gone by the time I blinked, swallowed by the night. I stepped harder on the gas. My hands were shaking now, and every instinct I had was screaming that I needed to get off that road. I scanned my GPS. There was a rest area about 12 miles ahead. I focused on the distance, just willing the miles to pass. Then the CB radio crackled. Just a burst of static at first. Then a whispering voice creeping through the noise. "Don't stop!" I froze. I hadn't heard another trucker in hours. The channel was completely dead all night. My hand hovered over the dial, unsure if I should respond. Another whisper came through, clearer this time. "It's behind you." I jerked forward like someone had punched me. I checked my mirrors again, and my blood turned to ice. There was something behind the trailer. Not a person, not an animal. Something crawling out from underneath the back axle, long limbs contorting in ways a human body could never move. Its palms slapped the pavement as it pulled itself upward. I stomped the accelerator. The truck roared, the trailer swaying as the speed climbed, and I watched in absolute terror as the creature tried to lift itself higher. And then it stood up, full height, right on the moving road, like it weighed nothing. Its face was pale, too pale, and stretched, as if the skin didn't fit the skull underneath. Its eyes reflected the truck's taillights in 2 sharp silver points, and it began to run. Fast, faster than any human could. I slammed my foot on the pedal so hard my boot nearly slipped. The engine growled, gears grinding as the semi forced itself past 70, then 75, then 80. The whole cab was shaking. I didn't care. I just needed distance, any distance, between me and that thing. But it didn't fall behind. In my mirror, I watched it sprinting, no, gliding, down the blacktop. Its legs moved, but not like a human's. They bent too far backward, like a twisted animal trying to imitate people. Every time its feet hit the pavement, sparks flew. The worst part? Its expression never changed. That pale, stretched face stayed perfectly blank, lips slightly parted, eyes reflecting those bright metallic dots. Then it did something impossible. It dropped to all fours, its arms snapping outward like joints popping loose, and the thing launched itself forward. It closed half the distance to my trailer in seconds. I yelled without meaning to. The snowstorm had finally caught up with me, and giant flakes began smashing into the windshield like insects. The road ahead was vanishing in a curtain of white. My wipers were going full speed, but visibility was getting worse by the second. I kept checking the mirrors. The creature was climbing. One hand gripped a side rail, then the second, then its foot hooked onto the trailer's underlip like a giant insect. It was actually pulling itself onto the back of the moving semi. I swear I could hear metal bending, over the sound of the wind, over the engine, over my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. My throat was bone dry. I grabbed the CB radio with one shaking hand. "Hello? Anyone? Anyone? On 19. This is truck 4829. I don't even know what I've got, but I need help. Please respond." Nothing, just static. Then faintly, that same whispering voice from earlier. "Don't stop." I whipped my head toward the speaker. That voice wasn't coming from someone miles away. It was close, like it was inside the cab with me. The creature's shadow spilled across my right mirror as it climbed higher, its elongated fingers slipping over the edge of the trailer. I could barely breathe. My mind was screaming at me to jump out, run, do anything, but I kept driving, frozen in that seat. Up ahead, through the blizzard, I finally spotted the glowing blue sign. Rest area. 1 mile. I don't know what I was thinking. I just knew I couldn't outrun it forever. Maybe if I got to the rest stop, there'd be lights, maybe a security camera, maybe another trucker, something. I pushed the pedal down again. The semi roared forward. Snow blew everywhere. The mirrors shook violently. And then I heard the metal scrape. It was walking on top of the trailer. Each step dented the roof slightly, snow falling off in thin sheets. The sound of its footfalls, slow, deliberate, echoed through the cab like someone pacing directly above my head. Thump, thump, thump. My eyes filled with tears. I was gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles were white. Finally, I pulled into the rest stop entrance. Bright industrial floodlights cut through the storm. I felt a tiny, fragile sliver of hope until I realized the footsteps had stopped. Silence. I didn't know if the thing had jumped off or if it was laying flat on the trailer, waiting for me to get out. Every instinct told me not to open the door, but the radio crackled again. This time the voice was clearer, closer. "Look, behind you!" I felt ice pour straight down my spine, and something moved in the sleeper bunk behind me. I didn't want to turn around. Every muscle in my body locked up, like my brain was refusing to let my head move. But the shifting sound from the sleeper bunk, slow, dragging like skin sliding across fabric, made it impossible to ignore. For a moment, I just sat there, breathing too fast, hands trembling on the wheel. Another soft thump came from behind me. That was it. My body moved on instinct. I twisted in my seat and jerked the curtain open, and the bunk was empty. Completely empty. Blanket folded. Nothing disturbed. But I knew I heard something. I knew something had been there. My heartbeat was pounding in my ears so hard I almost missed the next sound. A light tap on the passenger side window. I snapped my head forward, and my soul nearly left my body. Something was standing outside the truck, pressed against the window, its face inches from the glass. It was the same pale, stretched thing that had been running behind me, but now I could see it up close. Every detail, every wrong detail. Sallow skin pulled too tight, eyes reflective and empty like metal beads shoved into sockets, a jaw unhinged just a little too far, teeth gray and uneven. It didn't breathe, didn't blink, it just stared. I couldn't scream, I couldn't move. My whole body froze like I'd been dropped into ice water. Then it lifted one long finger and tapped the window again. Tap, tap, tap. I don't know what snapped in me, but suddenly I slammed the truck into drive. Tires skidded on the snow. The creature's face slid out of view as the truck lurched forward. For a moment, I thought I had escaped, but when I looked into my mirror, it was on the side of the trailer, clinging to the metal like a spider, limbs splayed out, fingers digging into the surface. Snow whipped around it, but it didn't even flinch. It started crawling toward the cab. Fast. I floored the gas pedal again. The truck fishtailed on the icy pavement, but I held it steady, eyes darting between the road and the mirror. The creature was almost at the cab. I spotted the exit ramp ahead leading back onto 191. Without thinking, I turned the wheel hard. The trailer swung, tires screeching on the wet asphalt. For a second, I thought the whole rig was going to flip, but that sudden movement finally worked in my favor. The creature lost its grip. I saw it tumble off the side of the trailer and slam onto the road, rolling through the snow before disappearing into darkness. I didn't wait. I didn't slow down. I drove until the snowstorm thinned, until the sky began to lighten, until the sun finally rose over the desert. Only when daylight filled the cab did I pull over, step out, and check the trailer. There were dents, deep ones, like like something had crawled across the roof. I called dispatch, made up some excuse about a large animal hitting the trailer. There was no way I was going to tell anyone the truth. They'd think I'd fallen asleep or lost my mind, or worse, send me in for an evaluation. I finished the delivery, but that was the last time I ever drove 191 at night. Even thinking about that road makes my chest tighten. And sometimes, when I'm parked alone at a truck stop, engine off, everything quiet, I swear I still hear it. Tap, 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 like it's trying to find the window again. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel Midnight Files.